I'm going to show you how to make a Frost Death Knight in Elden Ring. Now this build I've been really looking forward to make because they did buff a lot of the Frost spells. And although I did make a Sub-Zero build recently, I got inspiration from Death Knights in World of Warcraft. So we'll be using two weapons, a claymore with a heavy affinity, so we can use frozen armament on the weapon and get that buff, but we'll also have a spear with the cold affinity. I wanted to use a spear specifically because they did buff that ice spear Ash of War recently, and I think it's really good now. It even does more damage, at least on my character. It does more damage than Frost Stomp did to a few of the enemies, which is really crazy. So I wanted to be able to have that cold damage if enemies are weak to it, but also have the heavy damage, which is going to scale with our strength, because this is a strength and intelligence build, if we encounter enemies that are more resistant to frost or magic. And at the same time, we'll also be using some sorceries, some frost sorceries, so primarily the Zammer Ice Storm. Now that Ice Storm is so freaking good now, and it sucks because you can't really put the Ash of War on a weapon. You have to use the Zammer Curved Sword, but it doesn't really feel like a Death Knight weapon, and honestly I think it's ugly, so I just cannot deal with it. And I also don't like that it's pretty stubby in range compared to a lot of other weapons. Something like the Claymore, or even as Wayhander if you don't like the Claymore, fits way better with a Death Knight. So you have so many tools at your disposals for like every situation. You have up close stuff, you have long range stuff, you have two types of weapons for every enemy you will encounter in Elden Ring. And I really think that this build probably won't struggle against a lot of enemies. And it's just so fun to play because you can approach a fight in many different ways. You can go in with your spear, you can put frozen armament on your claymore and just fight with that, while using Frost Stomp to close in the distance. There's just so many things, it's so diverse, and that's why I like to do with builds, you know, make it diverse so that you don't get bored of it if you do a full playthrough with it. So let's look at the stats. Now you can make this build pretty early on. I mean, there's some stuff you will be missing, like Abdullah's Moonblade, or Abdullah, I don't know why I say Abdullah all the time. But basically, I went for soft cap with both strength and intelligence, so 55 for each. And then 20 endurance, which means that if you're wearing heavy armor, you will fat roll, so we will have to use some talismans for that. Unless you don't want to use heavy armor, then it's not really going to be a problem. But then 30 mind. Now, a lot of these spells do suck up your FP really quickly, but honestly you'll be doing so much damage that it's not really that much of a problem. And if you're out of FP or out of flasks, you can just use your cold spear to finish enemies off. And of course a 40 vigor. Now it's a bit on the lower side, but because we have so many things that are long range, I don't think we really need to be a tank in a way. Like, I know it's a Death Knight, but like we really needed strength and intelligence for this build, so that's why it looks like that. Now if you don't want to use the heavy affinity on your claymore and you just want to use cold, then you can definitely just bump up your intelligence instead, and maybe your vigor as well. But I just like this diversity that the setup I have right now offers. So now that you know how the build works, I'm going to show you where you can get everything you need to make it. So let's start with the fashion of this build. I think the all-knowing helm really has that Death Knight feel to it. I think it's one of the best ones. It's unfortunate there isn't like a helmet that gives you like blue glowing eyes. Now for the rest, I use Blade's armor and Blade's greaves, as well as the gauntlets from the Vagabond set, the fingerprint armor. Actually, I think that looks better than what I had on. There's a lot of styles when it comes to Death Knights if you've played World of Warcraft, or if not, then just Google it and you'll get a lot of inspiration. You can get this helmet once you defeat Sir Gideon. As for the fingerprint armor, you can get that once you kill Vike in the mountaintops of the giants. And actually, I will show you, I don't have the Sights of Grace. If I recall correctly, it's like right up here, near the Frozen Lake Site of Grace. And if you want to use Blade's armor, obviously you get it by completing Ronnie's quest and defeating him. For the weapons, you can find the Claymore in Castle Morn. It'll be in a chest, and I will show you the location on screen. So once you're in the main courtyard where the two misbegotten are, you want to stay to the right, and then that path will lead to an entrance to the building in the north side of the castle. And the sword will be found in a chest to the left as you enter that particular building. To get the Partisan Spear, it's in Limgrave, and you can get it from the Godric Knights in this area right here. Now for the Glintblade staff, it's not the best staff ever, but if you want to use a Ronnie staff, you need to invest, I think it's 60 intellect. And there's no staff that actually helps or improves cold sorceries. So I just went with the Carrion Glintblade, which you can get in Liurnia of the Lakes, in the Highway Lookout Tower that is right here. So for this build we need 2 Ashes of War, Hoarfrost Stomp, and an Ice Spear. To get Ice Spear, you need to come to Liurnia of the Lakes in this like wooded area. There will be Knights Cavalry spawning there at night, and you need to defeat them to get this Ash of War. Hoarfrost Stomp is found by Caria Manor right here. You want to go inside this lake here, but you have to go like through the manor. You can't go from the this area down here. And it'll basically be an invisible teardrop scarab, and you need to hit him and you'll get the Ash of War. Adula's Moonblade is found near the very end of Ronnie's questline, so it's like pretty endgame. You have to defeat the Glintstone Dragon Adula. That's located when you get to Cathedral of Manus Celes, which again you can only get there if you complete Ronnie's questline. For Frozen Armament, you can get that after you defeat Loretta in Caria Manor. So once you defeat him, you'll be able to get behind where the 3 sisters are, or all the towers are. And you want to go here, and you'll be able to loot it from a Teardrop Scarab right behind the banner right here. To get Zammer Ice Storm, you need to come to the Zammer Runes once you get to the mountaintops of the giants, and you just have to loot it from a corpse, so it's pretty easy to find. For the talismans, we'll be using the Graven Mass Talisman, which raises the potency of sorcery. So we'll be doing more damage with them. And you can find this one in the Consecrated Snowfields, which is the secret area. It's right up here on the map. This is where you start, and you'll have to get to this tower right here, complete the puzzle, and you'll be able to get the talisman. For the Old Lord Talisman, I'll show you a map exactly that will show you exactly where to get to it, but it's in the Ferrum Azula area, and basically this extends spell duration. So not only will it boost Zammer Ice Storm how long it stays, it will also help with Frozen Armament on your weapon, so it'll stay active much longer. I think it's just an overall great talisman to have on a magic type of character. To get a Great Jar's Arsenal, and there's an area right here in Caelid that's only accessible through Seofra River, right here. There will be like a massive jar dude sitting there, and you have to fight 3 of his champions. Once you defeat them, he will give you this talisman. And for the last one, Shard of Alexander, everyone knows about this one. It's such a great talisman. It will boost the attack power of your Ashes of War, so both Hoarfrost Stomp and the Ice Spear. Now to get this talisman, you need to complete Alexander's questline to the very end, so you have to meet him at all the locations, and then finally meet him in the Ferrum Azula to fight him and defeat him. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this Frost Knight build that I put together. Whether you're a fan of World of Warcraft or not, I think everyone can have fun with this build. Let me know what you think about it, and if you have suggestions for future builds, definitely let me know in the comments. If you're looking for a friendly Discord to join, the link to mine is in the description of every video, and everyone is welcome. So have yourself a very wonderful day, and I'll see you all very soon.